Hello.
Hey, we are live.
Hi, everyone.
I am starting this stopwatch so we can honor your guys' time.
The countdown is on.
The count up, really.
Count up.
Countdown's over because we started. It's like 3, 2, 1. Live.
Live on Wednesday night.
I'm wearing my
The Sliders.
Honeka'a t-shirt. See?
Live in Aloha.
Live in Aloha. This is the island, Big Island, Hawaii, where we lived, and that shaka symbol right there is where Honeka'a was. We lived right in the top north. Good times. We had a good time out there, didn't we?
We did have a great time out there.
It was glorious.
Hi, Karen. Welcome, Wednesday night viewer.
So it was a really big change for us to move out there. We went out for a year, and then before we came back to Florida and learned tons and tons about ourselves and had a blast doing it, didn't we?
Yes. We will talk about change tonight. And
What?
moving across the world was a big change for us.
Huge
for sure.
change.
So we'll get
moving
into
across
that.
the world with 4 kids.
Yes.
When we lived in Hawaii, this is crazy because we're from Florida. So when we lived in Hawaii, we were literally closer to Japan than we were to Florida. I don't think people realize how far away Hawaii is. Unless you've been there, then you know, because that flight is very long.
And what else was really funny was that the people in Hawaii were freaked out about the people in Florida. They're like, man, you guys swim in the ocean in Florida? There's so many sharks there. And we laughed and said, well, that's what we thought about you guys, too. We thought everybody in Hawaii would be scared to swim in the water because of the sharks.
The water in Hawaii was amazing.
So everybody apparently thinks it's more dangerous somewhere else. You're used to your own waters.
Yeah.
Although the east coast of Florida lives up to its reputation.
Yeah.
There's lots of sharks there.
Really funny story about not being used to your waters. You want to hear it? Do we have time?
Yes.
Okay. When we were in Costa Rica, like, am I bragstagramming right now? Like,
Yes.
telling everybody where
You're
we
just
live?
doing a rundown of
Sorry.
everywhere we've lived.
It's not
Florida,
that wasn't my intention.
Hawaii, Costa Rica.
Everywhere tropical, nowhere where it snows. Well, I guess it did snow in Hawaii, right? We have a picture to prove it.
Yes.
And we went up on the mountaintop. But anyway, when we were in Costa Rica, my brother Dan and his wife came down. They were freshly married, a couple months, right? And so we went and did some of the tourist things with them. And one of the trips, it was just me and Sophia, and we went to a volcano, and it was a dormant volcano, been dormant for 1,000 years or something. And the crater in the top had turned into a lake, but there was also rainforest and stuff all around. There was trees growing out of the side of the crater, you know, and so it was like a climb up a mountain, forested mountain, and then you kind of climb down into this crater, and you couldn't hardly tell it was a volcano until you get down in there. It was pretty wild, but it was a lake. So
Skip's telling me the story too because I didn't go. So
yes, I mean she's heard the story before.
Yeah,
she's heard all my stories.
Yeah, multiple times.
Except for what happened at work today, because I haven't had time to tell her yet.
Anyone who's been friends with Skip for more than 5 minutes has heard the stories repeated multiple times. So
unbelievable.
Hi, Mom. My mom's heard your stories a lot of times.
Hey, Mom. So anyway, we get up to the top of this volcano, and we were, ankle deep in the water, and like we didn't know anything. Like we know like there's all kinds of poisonous snakes and
we didn't do any research
crocodiles
about this
and frogs. There was literally
volcanic
frogs
lake
that could kill you in Costa Rica, little tiny tree frogs. It's crazy, right?
Yeah,
so we get up there and we see some of these frogs and different things as we're going up, and really colorful. I didn't want to touch them because I didn't know which ones were which. Apparently the poisonous ones look very similar to the not poisonous ones. Don't touch any of them. So that was kind of boring, but we get up there, me and my brother Dan are standing in like knee-deep water, and Sophia was 6, and she climbed up, and she was standing right behind me, and I was like, I wonder if there's anything in this lake that could like eat us. Like I didn't know, like I didn't think a crocodile would be in there, because like why would a crocodile hike 3 hours up a volcano just to get into a lake that
Can you imagine their little gator legs?
That'd be funny. But I didn't know if there's snakes or some kind of piranha or something in there. Who knows, right? So
like a bird picked a piranha up from a river and then flew it up the thing, dropped it in the crater lake.
Maybe some crazy Costa Rican wanted to breed piranhas up there, and he knew nobody would mess with them. I don't know. So there were fish in there. I mean, we saw some fish and frogs.
Sci-fi movie.
So anyway, Sophia comes up behind me at 6 years old, the daughter of mine that she is, and she tries to push me into the water. And so I grabbed her and I heaved her as far as I could. It must have been like 8 or 10 feet out into the water. She hits the water, because splash, goes underwater, comes swimming back. Her hair is in her face, everything else. And me and my brother looked at each other. And we're like, guess there's nothing in here that'll eat you. We can swim away. And so we swam for a couple hours. It's really funny.
And Sophia loved every minute of it.
She did love it. She tells the story.
Many children would not have loved that.
Yeah.
Sophia,
She is my daughter.
Sophia, yeah.
So,
Your mini-me.
My mini-me. She's your daughter too, but she's my mini-me.
She's literally my daughter.
Literally
yes,
your daughter.
I remember.
Literally my daughter.
I remember that.
You remember that?
I remember
you
that.
You were there?
Hard work.
Yeah.
To birth her.
So anyway, that was kind of a funny story about waters that you don't know about, I think. How did we get onto that subject? I'm on a rabbit trail now. Anyway.
All right. You ready to do a topic?
Surprise topics.
Surprise me.
Am I surprising first this week?
Yep.
I can't talk. I just ate a big dinner and I just got home from work, showered real fast, ate real fast, and now I'm like all like full belly tired. I'm like, I need a nap.
That's your excuse. That's really cute.
I'm like,
My mom says throwing Sophia into the water without knowing what's going on, not funny.
yeah, but then she did LOL. I don't know if it's funny or is it laughing out loud. I'm not sure.
There's the rub. Anything with Skip, we gotta really spell it out. Know what I mean is not cool, Bob.
Anyway, secret topic or surprise topic. It's not really a
Surprise me.
secret. I'm surprising you with a topic.
Oh, you surprised me.
My surprise topic today is passwords. And how much I hate passwords.
Oh my gosh.
So,
how much I hate you dealing with passwords. Let's talk about that
yes,
part.
let's talk about that part in a minute. So, when it comes to passwords, I know like everybody's going to be like screaming. I have literally had people scream at me over this. I have had the same password for
7 years.
7, 8 years, maybe longer. Who knows? Forever. For everything that I'm on, all 50 jillion sites that you go on that need a password, same password.
And it wasn't all that secure.
It was pretty secure.
It was secure-ish.
Had a capital.
Yeah, it had some
Had a
digits.
symbol. Had some numbers.
It wasn't password or anything like that, but it was.
It was pretty secure.
It was secure.
Regardless.
Yeah.
Had the same one, and I'm gonna tell myself a little bit. I got duped online. Put some of my information into a site. And I was like trying to be cool and surprise Beth with something. And then I go back to the site because it said, hey, wait for an email and we'll get back with you. And I go and I didn't get the email for like, 30 minutes or something it probably was. And so I go back to where I was logging onto this site and it said, do not log on to this site. It's a dangerous site. They were trying to get your information. And I was like, oh, shnikes.
Skip, we were watching TV and Skip literally started freaking out.
Terrible.
Like, oh my gosh! Oh, hurry up! Turn on the light. We have to change all our passwords really fast.
It was like a thing through Twitter, right?
Oh,
it looked like just like Twitter, blah blah blah. So put your information in here, for business verification because I'm in business, blah blah blah. Then we'll know it's you, blah blah blah. So I did all that, and then I go back and Twitter's like, this was not a real site. We've taken it down. You've been scammed, and I'm like, oh, crud.
Warning, you messed up big time.
So, being that, I had the same password for everything.
Every site.
Every social media, every bank account I've ever had, it doesn't matter. My PIN number for my debit card is the same as it was when I was 17 or 18 years old whenever I got a bank account. Same PIN to this day. So
super secure. Karen is trying to decode your password. She said, does it have a 57 in it?
It does not.
No. Did not have a 57 in it.
My new one might. So
see what I have to deal with?
So
the least secure person.
So all my things, me and Beth literally went for like an hour furiously through all of my stuff, changing this stuff as fast as I could before they started jacking my bank accounts and stuff.
And you were trying to come up with a new password, which was difficult. You're already stressed because your stuff got hacked. And then you're like, oh, I have to come up with something.
So here's the part I hate
secure.
about passwords. All right. You go to one site and they're like, put this in and needs a symbol and a number. And you're like, oh, cool. Symbol and a number. That was easy. And some letters and whatever you want to say. Like, my wife is hot, dash 57, 57, 11, or whatever you want to put, right? So I do that. And then I go to the next one. trying to keep it the same on all 90 of my things that I have a password on, and the next one doesn't let you use that symbol. So you have to put a different symbol in, right?
It literally tells you not to use the same password that you used on another site.
Blah,
but
blah,
you didn't
blah,
follow
blah,
the
blah.
rules. You didn't read the directions and follow the rules. So
Rules are for fools. Look at me.
You're not Happy Gilmore.
So anyway, you go to that one, you got to do something different that's slightly the same but a little bit different, and then you go to I have 7 passwords now. I have trouble remembering one password. 7 passwords. And so this morning...
No. He doesn't have 7 passwords. He yells for me across the house to try to remember his 7 passwords.
She
instead of being a grown-up.
her password in this really encrypted, safe thing called her notepad on her iPhone.
Now everybody's gonna
Now,
find it.
if anybody steals her phone, you'll have all my passwords again. And there might be a 57 in it.
I think you guys should comment below and tell Skip to be a grown-up who can just remember his passwords.
Are you kidding me? I know 1 phone or 2 phone numbers. That's it. My phone number and her phone number. Every other phone number I don't know anymore because I don't have to know them.
So since we had Skip get hacked a month ago and reveal all of his passwords to everybody in, I don't know, Turkmenistan or wherever it was. I don't know. Well, since then, we've started to get advice from other people about what to do, about how to keep our passwords secure. So, the main advice was use an app that will keep all of our passwords. We did get other advice. We're going to keep it on the down low. Private message us for that information.
Private messages for that information. We will not put it online so you guys can hack my stuff again.
If you have any security tips for Skip, put them in the comments.
So this morning I was trying to get on one of my business organization site that I pay for, and
I had just opened my eyes a few minutes.
Just opened her eyes, but all my passwords are in her phone.
Already freaking out. I don't remember my password.
I was not freaking out.
I have to hurry up.
I was like,
do work before
hey babe,
work.
I need to send this email before I go to work. What's the password for this site? She's like, I don't know. I just work out.
Wait a minute. Stop. Is that what I look like?
Yeah.
Oh really?
It's more like this.
Oh really? Oh, that's what I look like.
I don't know your passwords anymore.
Oh, good to know. Appreciate that flattering description.
So anyway, and then she's like, I just woke up, and I'm like, oh, I need the password. She's like, comes over, puts her phone down. There's all the passwords listed off.
Skip drinks a cup of coffee every morning when he wakes up,
I do.
and he serves me a steaming hot cup of stress every day when I wake up.
Totally.
Where's my passwords? Stress cup.
I'm like, hey babe, how are you doing this morning? She's like, I just woke up. I'm so stressed. I can't believe you just said, hey babe. How am I doing? How would I know how I'm doing? I just woke up.
Oh, nice. You
Nice.
are hitting it
I'm
out
on
of the
fire
park.
tonight.
Yeah, you're
All
on
right.
fire. You know, like
I'll
that
stop before it goes
blazing
too far.
forest fire
Blazing forest
in
fire.
South Florida
There's a
right
huge
now.
fire in South Florida right now.
That is not funny.
Over 4,000 acres.
We will not laugh about that.
Anyway, what's your surprise topic? I'm going to bail before I say too much.
You already did that. Surprise topic is making it up on the fly here.
Your surprise topic is how we make stuff up on the fly, or you're going to make something up on the fly?
It can be. I was going to make something up on the fly.
Oh,
I
go for
couldn't
it.
come up with anything.
It's a really slow bird.
What are you doing now?
I'm being a slow bird. You're making it up on the fly, slowly.
Oh my gosh. Everybody give Skip a thumbs down. Can you give him an angry face for that joke?
Is it thumbs
That
up?
was so lame.
Thumbs down.
Give him an angry face for that joke. Okay, I think we should talk about how you mispronounce words all the time.
Dude, that's an easy topic.
Like the word cash. Why does your family say cash
That's
instead
classic.
of the word cash?
Or should I say
Classic.
classic?
Right. Skip's family mispronounces words.
My uncle, who I know is not watching this because he's a hermit and lives in a cabin in West Virginia, so I can talk as much about him as I want.
No, everybody in West Virginia is gonna tell him. They're gonna get on the
Nobody in West Virginia.
you know, like on
Tell
the
my Uncle Mike anything.
Jed Clampett family, like the
Yes.
granny had the thing coming out, so they're gonna yell through those little things, and all West Virginia is gonna know what you're saying.
My Uncle Mike would
Say
lecture
his name
us.
right.
My Uncle Mac.
Uncle Mac.
And he's from West Virginia. West Virginia So anyway,
West by
he
Gone.
would say stuff like "cash" and "that's classic" and stuff like that. So as children, we used to make fun of him a little bit, or a lot bit, and we would try to talk like him, and then like some of my cousins and stuff picked it up, and so like a bunch of us say stuff like that. It's really funny. I thought you were going to talk about words that I really can't say correctly.
Like pillow.
Pillow.
The word pillow.
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 Yeah.
Pillow. I'm gonna lay my head in a pillow like Beth.
No, I wasn't going to throw you under the bus
And
for
like
words that you're like
cinnamon,
legitimately trying.
Like
to
I could say if I tried to say it, but when I'm saying it really fast, I usually end up saying cinnamon.
True story. Skip actually used cumin instead of cinnamon on his cinnamon toast one time.
That was disgusting.
He just grabbed any spice from the spice jar that
I didn't just grab
started
any.
with a C and ended with
the
an
bottles
N.
were exactly the same. Yes, when I glanced at it,
starts with a C and ends with an N.
That's true, it did. And I used it. And
Did
the first
not
bite
taste
was
the same.
Terrible.
And then you made Jonah. I mean, you offered it to Jonah as if it was good food.
Yeah, that was in North Carolina. That was fun.
Yeah.
Me and Jonah went on a work trip together to do a little remodel job in North Carolina, Boone, North Carolina. It was a good times.
Boys trip.
Boys trip. My dad came too. It was a lot of fun. So anyway, a lot of those words I say. What was the other one? Vehemently? Did I just say it right? Vehemently? I never say that word right either when I'm talking.
The fact that you know that word's excellent.
Sandwich.
Oh.
I always say sandwich
purpose.
different. I mix up two words all the time. Oh, subscription and prescription. I say those backwards. I say I need a prescription for a magazine or a subscription for medicine.
So, Skip has started to become more literate as the years have gone on. Yeah. Skip hearts books now.
I do read a lot now, or a lot more than I did. I mean, I wouldn't say a lot, but
So now you know the words.
I do know the words. The more I read, the more... Wait, how's that commercial go?
The more you know.
Oh, the more you know. So there you have it. I say quite a few words wrong, some of them on purpose, some of them not.
Yes. And all of it bugs me every
All of
single time you use the words incorrectly.
Yeah.
But I still love you anyway.
Worse than getting words wrong is grammar, because I'm
Yeah.
getting better at that, but I
Another-
don't even care enough to
Another
care
topic
enough.
for another
topic.
night.
Hey, surprise me next week with that one.
I just think we can't even. We can't even.
Can't even.
All right, topic accomplished.
Topic accomplished.
Big check mark in the sky for that one. All right, hook us up with
Hook us
some.
up.
You hook us up
What are we hooking us up with?
with some main topic.
The main topic.
Yeah.
We're going to go to the main topic. We have... Why is that funny?
Because it's such a smooth transition. I brought it. I
You
brought
brought
that.
it.
I brought that smooth
Bring it.
transition.
Powerhouse style.
Yep.
Bam! So, main topic tonight is change,
Yes.
right? And we're not talking about the jingly kind in your pocket either.
Nobody has jingly stuff in their pockets anymore.
Nobody?
Not really. I don't know. Who uses money anymore? Do you use
Everybody.
money? Raise your hand. Give us a like if you
I
use
had
money.
jingly change in my pocket a couple days ago. I emptied all over in that cup.
We have been going to the
Yard sales.
Yard
Yeah, you
sales.
get change for yard
yard
sales.
sales. You get a book for 50 cents. So
They're
you
like,
gotta
hey,
keep those coins a
this
jingling.
knick-knack's a quarter. And I'm like, I'll give you a nickel for it.
No, you don't. That's rude, though. I don't even think that's nice yard sale etiquette.
It's not.
No.
Something's a quarter. Just give the people the quarter. You do not need to talk them down from a quarter, right?
Right.
Should I tell that story about my friend
I don't like
Mike?
talking down in general.
and his yard sale escapade?
I don't know what story you're talking about, but I'm scared.
All right, we won't do that.
I think
we'll
we should
save
move
that
on.
for a different time. We'll move on. So we're talking about change tonight and how it seems to be a season of change.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot in our own lives of change when it comes to things going on in our personal lives, our home lives, our church lives, our friend lives, and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, we know multiple people that have moved across the country recently, people that have moved to California from Florida
Out of
and
the
to North
country.
Carolina. We know people
Yeah.
that have made some really big moves
Yeah.
Geographically, and then also like people getting new jobs and stuff. So I think that there's just a lot going on change-wise in our, jobs and locations. But I think it's a lot more than that. I think that we're having a lot of opportunities for brand new things to be happening. And so that's what we want to encourage you guys tonight. We want to just take a few minutes and talk about that. Oh, I also want to talk about the new movie, The Shack. So we can do that now or in a few minutes.
Mm-hmm. You tell me.
We'll just break in here real fast and tell you that our little journey with The Shack. And so we just wanted to tell you The Shack is a book, and then the movie just came out last weekend, and we did go and see it. And so we wanted to let you know that if you're interested in seeing it, if it's already something that's piqued your interest, we wanted to encourage you to go ahead and do that. So, if it's not something that had crossed your path and you're not interested, we're not forcing you or anything like that.
I'm forcing you.
Yeah, Skip will try to force you. But when the book came out, I think that, you can tell your story, but, Skip was open to reading it and interested, and so he read it and enjoyed it. And it's kind of a theologically mind-bending experience as far as just, straight, regular Christianity goes.
Yeah.
And so the idea of The Shack, it kind of takes you on a journey of experience with God. And so it's really different. And if you are not used to that kind of thought process or that kind of experiential version with God, then, it can be a little challenging. So for me, I'm the, kind of straight, follow the rules, it's black or white kind of person.
Letter of the law, spirit of the law.
And so for me, when the book came out, I was just, I couldn't get my mind around it. It was just too far out of my box of traditionalism and stuff. Yeah. And so it's not something that I was like, ooh, this is my favorite ever when I first read it. But Skip enjoyed it so much that I was able to kind of honor that and go, okay, I know that Skip loves God, and, he was able to experience God when he read this book. And so that's great for him. And so I just kind of read it and I was like, I just can't even with this. And so set it aside. So then a couple years later, you went to a conference. So
yeah, well, I read the book, and honestly, when you read the book, a huge part of the controversy of this movie is the fact that they've casted, or in the book and the movie, is they make the Trinity is the main character of the movie. So they have God as a black woman, mm-hmm. They have Jesus as a man, a carpenter, mm-hmm. and then they have
like Middle Eastern looking man, and they have Holy Spirit as Asian woman.
An Asian woman in the movie, but the book describes it a little bit differently, like unhuman, like and sparkly or whatever. So that was a huge part of the controversy. But if you read the book or see the movie, it kind of explains through that process why it happened that way. And it really is a basis of God meeting us where we need to be met.
Right, so don't give away too many spoilers or anything like that. But Skip went to a conference.
And then I went to a conference a couple years after I read the book, mm-hmm. and the guy that wrote the book, William Young, was one of the speakers there, the keynote speaker, out in California, and he explained why he wrote it the way he did. And so
he kind of gave his personal story. Correct. He gave his backstory about, why he wrote it, but it was also like the fact that, his traumatic childhood and stuff, and how God was able to meet him in the midst of all of the terrible things that he went through. And the characters in there were sort of versions of how God had met him. And so it really brought it down and made it more understandable for me to hear Skip relay that story to me, was for me to go, oh, okay, I can kind of get my head around that. And that makes a little bit more sense. So now here we are, years and years later. They finally got the movie out. Movie was really well done. We really enjoyed it. It was visually appealing and everything. And so we watch it.
Was really well.
Yeah,
done really
it was
well.
good
The
movie.
story was really good story. There's a couple little slight differences that you wouldn't even notice hardly.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the whole movie of The Shack. And then I was sitting there watching it, and I was like, oh, I get this. You know, like I think that, you know, maybe it was because it was presented in pictures rather than, you know, maybe I just couldn't understand some of the thoughts from the book originally. But I think more so that God has brought us on our own journey in the last 7 years, and I'm not the same person that I was at the time. So I do think that there's a lot of room for you to have a really cool experience if you go see The Shack, or when it comes out, rent it or whatever. I do think that if you are open to an experience with God, God can meet you in the midst of it, just like he does in the characters in The Shack.
Right.
So,
and if you go into it understanding, like, this movie is not trying to be perfect theology.
No,
then
it's just one artist's interpretation.
Correct.
Like every single time we watch anything with my kids.
It's like Narnia or something.
Right.
You
It's
know?
like, okay, this
There's
is what this
of,
artist
right.
thinks of this. You know, this is what this picture, this is not what the person actually looks like. It's just
Right.
how they drew it. And so the same thing with the movie, with the book.
Right.
You know, it's just this artist's interpretation of what God is like. But it's pretty cool. And be prepared to cry your eyes out. So bring like 18 boxes of tissues.
Oh, show.
Because
I almost cried a couple times, and then there's one part, and I'm not going to give it any spoiler alerts here, but I seriously almost ugly cried. I mean, like, ugly cried. Like, the only reason I didn't ugly cry is because there was a stranger sitting next to us.
yeah, it's kind of weird, like, to go through such a experience where you're bawling your eyes out right next to somebody you don't know.
Very, very emotionally moving movie. So it's a really well done movie. So I recommend going to see it.
Since they can't be in the movie with you watching it, can you just show a version of what your ugly cry would look like? Not aloud. I don't want to hear. That's what your ugly cry looks like. That was awesome. Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome. It would have been uglier than that in real life.
No, that was beautiful, honey. You're
Awesome.
gorgeous.
Is it beautiful or ugly?
It's a beautiful ugly cry.
Oh, okay, great.
You can't make ugly.
Back to
You're
our
so
main topic,
handsome.
since we got sidetracked with the movie The Shack.
Okay, bringing it back in.
Bringing her back in.
Because I just think that movie is part of a process of, you know, there's change in the earth. And so one of the things that there's an opportunity to change is a perspective of what God is like. So I think that the idea of angry, separate God is going away. I think that, you know, the idea of God is close and meeting you right where you're at is what God wants to show people on earth. And that's what the movie The Shack was, in my opinion, just revealing more of the desire for God to be close with you.
We should totally be movie critics. That'd be so much fun.
Meet you right where you're at. I don't think I could handle most movies. I just want to completely escape from
Like, if we had a job
reality.
where we just watch movies and then talk about it, like, it'd be awesome.
Another job. Skip tries to make me have like 10 new jobs a day. He's constantly creating a new job.
You're lucky it's only
Well,
10.
if we could do this. What if we do this? Okay, so let us talk about the change that's happening on the earth. So many good things.
Yeah.
I think that there are signs. I think that if you're really looking, you can see that there are signs for when it's time to change. So, like, I'm sure you know people that have, you know, like, I really don't like my job. I'm so miserable there for like 2 years, and then they finally get fired, you know, and it's just one of those things where, okay, well, all the indications were there. You were really miserable, and this is not working out very well.
Yeah.
You're losing favor with your bosses, and you don't have a desire in your heart to be there and stuff. Those are some signs to go, hey, something's changing. And so, you know, that's the kind of thing you start processing and go, okay, well, God, am I supposed to still be in this situation? Is this, you know, this doesn't seem like it's working out, or I'm not happy there. You know, is this an opportunity for change? So some things are as subtle as that, just kind of, you know, feeling change. And then some things are more overt. You'll see change in, you get a new boss at work, or you move somewhere. That's a change. Like sometimes you can see there's a real overt change in life. Sometimes you have a new baby, you start a new business. All these kinds of things are, real overt changes you can really know. But sometimes things are more subtle, and that's the kind of thing that we're, telling you maybe keep a lookout for, because there are a lot of things happening in the world right now. And, you have the opportunity for some of your most special and dreams that you've held out for a long time. Yeah. So I believe that a time of answered prayers is happening now. So go ahead and dive in with, what this is that's been in your heart, and start taking the first steps forward, because it is a time of change. And I do believe that the things that we're starting and the things that people are doing are prospering, that it's a time of prospering.
So here's the thing, and I've said this for years, so maybe I should copyright it or something, because it's pretty awesome. Or maybe it's not. I don't know. But I don't believe in coincidences. I think coincidences are small, subtle signs of God trying to get our attention. So as we begin to see coincidences, sometimes that perks my antenna up to kind of, okay, what, this just happened like this, and it's very similar to this, or these things are, exactly alike, or whatever. What a coincidence. Instead of saying what a coincidence, I say, what are you doing, God?
Yeah, like just a couple months ago, you had a couple days in a row customers with the exact same name. Like you had I don't know, Diana, or it was something like that. Kathy. You had Kathy's like multiple days in a row.
3.
That was. Right. So then we're like, okay, well then, we start to go, well, what does this mean? And so we question coincidences. We've started to learn to go, okay, this might be a sign or something.
And we've seen really neat things happen inside of that. We've seen, people, a lot of times people, like they people think I'm crazy because I say, God said, or God spoke to me and said. And I know that those things are kind of big, right? But a lot of times as Christians, people will pray and they'll know they're supposed to marry this person, right? But they don't have the same terminology as saying, God said that I'm supposed to marry this person, and then God tells this person, you're supposed to marry that person. They just said, we were praying and we felt like we were supposed to, right? So I feel like...
Yeah, I used to think I didn't hear God until I realized he could talk in more ways than just yelling from heaven.
So I feel like that, it's almost like God thinks to us. I believe when our spirit gets connected with his spirit, then all of a sudden there's this vibration or whatever, and all of a sudden your spirit knows, like your flesh and your soul, your emotions, everything, they calm down, and your spirit knows this is right and this is good. So when it comes to coincidences or even in nature, like for me, a lot of times God will speak to me through nature.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that today because we were thinking about this, and God does show Skip a lot of things in nature because he's kind of aware of it already. Like he knows about different kinds of birds or different kinds of plants or whatever. And so he's aware of those signs. I mean, it's nature in general, maybe not plants. But
I do see details. I mean, that is one thing about when we walk into a restaurant or something, I'll see a detail up on the wall of how they hung the wooden letters of their restaurant name, and one of them's out of place or something.
So for me, I would think that, I don't hear through nature as much. I mean, I love the beauty and the majesty of nature, like that part, yes. But to actually know this kind of bird doesn't normally do that, so that's why this is, something interesting. Like, I don't really know that kind of stuff, but I will be reading a book and a passage will jump out at me. Or I'll be talking to my kids and I'll go, and that's why you have to be kind, and then I realize, oh, I'm talking to myself, so there's a lot of times where things just jump out with me, a lot of times through words, more so than like the actions of animals or something like that. So whatever it is for you, it would be important for you to kind of have a gauge of what what is normal for you, or the times when your heart kind of jumps and feels alive, or, if you say something to someone and they go, wow, that's just what I needed at the time, then however you heard that is God, So it doesn't have to be all like, ooh, So just be aware of signs. There are signs everywhere.
If your waiter or waitress at the restaurant says something out of ordinary in conversation, like you guys have ordered your food or whatever, and you come back and you've talked a little bit, and all of a sudden your waiter says something like, whatever, something completely out of ordinary for that conversation, take attention to that, pay attention to that, because that could be a sign, like there's different signs. I think that if we're really tuning the fork of our spirit, then you'll begin to see some of those things. And, and I know, like, a lot of times that gets goofy or silly or weird, and, people can weird out on that, and that's fine.
I don't think God is concerned about us going too far with him. Like having faith for too much. I don't really think that there's much proof in the Bible for, him being upset with us going too far.
Right. And then where I've really been able to come to terms with some of the weirdness is I just understand, like, if that person, if they're weird and, they're just kind of, silly or goofy or whatever, they're on their own journey. Like, I don't have to, like, correct them or call them out for being weird or anything like that. I just agree. Yeah, okay, God told you that. Great. God saw, you saw a squirrel with cheeks full of acorns run in front of you, so you think you're going to, whatever, I don't know what it is. But, okay, cool. Like, what's the point of arguing or thinking someone's weird? It might be you that's the weird one. They might be spot on. So I just journey with people. And once I realize I'm on my own journey, and half the time I'm trying to figure my own journey out, then how in the world am I going to figure everybody else's out?
Yeah, we don't need to judge.
Right.
So in the midst of all of that, so just a reminder, don't wait. You're not a victim in life. You don't have to wait to get fired from a job or for somebody else to make all the decisions in your life for you. Be proactive by recognizing the signs. There's more than just signs in the weather. People can look out and know when it's going to rain. There's more signs than that. There's actually signs that can help guide us on our path with God and in life. And so be proactive by looking at those. It's Betty bedtime.
Sorry.
So when you're doing that, you can embark on a process of change. And so change is going to be something that, can be scary and can be frustrating. So we just wanted to recognize that we understand that. We've, probably undergone more change than anyone, or at least as much as most people.
For sure.
And so we understand the frustrations that come along with it, and we understand the fear and how scary it is to make a change in life. So certainly not taking away from any of that, but just empowering you to know that it's okay. Like, you can make a lot of changes and still come out on the other side and be more happy, happier, more successful, that if you don't change anything, you're going to end up just this kind of basic life until somebody else makes the decision for you, and sends you someplace you don't want to go.
And those emotions are real. Like when change is happening, you're nervous or you're a little bit scared, you're unsure. Those are okay. They're the right emotions. But the thing you have to remember is you have to choose how you're going to act and how you're going to respond inside of those emotions and inside of those changes. If you're going to freak out and stress ball on everybody all day and all night, and
why is he looking at me about that? So here's the deal. We've been making changes in our own lives in a lot of different areas. So one of them is to bring more structure and order into our home life, because, I don't like the results of what we currently have. Like, I've been too lax and, everything's kind of too loosey-goosey. And so I've realized that loosey-goosey. I need us to have a little bit more structure to our days, to our homeschool, to the way that we are maintaining our household. And so we are implementing some of those changes. And so it's not, like I want dramatic changes. So I want to be like, hey, we're going to be these drill sergeants or something that are, I want everything to be done in a day. So we're going to stick to it, every single week we end up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, our house is a wreck and I'm so tired. We have to make changes next week. But I kind of am more gentle and mild than that. And so we haven't seen these dramatic changes. So in the midst of that, I'm so frustrated, because I know where I want to be, but I haven't made the complete implemental change to make that happen. And so I'm kind of in the middle here, and it's just frustrating. I feel like kind of like a victim in our own household sometimes, that our kids are running the show instead of me. Like I know what I need to be doing, but I'm not requiring them. I'll say, go and do your chore. But then I have to go ahead and follow up and make sure that they actually did their chore, or implement some kind of series of events that they're going to kick off because they didn't do that. I don't have to be a jerk about it, which I've come to terms with. Like I can be firm and still be loving, which was the main thing. Like I thought it was either or for a long time. And so now here we are, and I realize I can be firm and loving, but I do have to, the firm part is new muscles for me. So the change that we're making in our home life is me. I have to build new muscles in order to maintain the level of discipline. And by discipline, I mean just order in our days, or, we eat a meal and then we jump up and do the dishes within 10 minutes of it being eaten, or, whatever. So anyway, Skip's been dealing with the fallout of my frustration. So that's why I'm laughing that he's kind of elbowing me here, because yesterday Skip got home from work and I was like, take me to Dairy Queen right now. So
true story.
One bad way to deal with your frustration is to go and buy a blizzard.
That was good for me.
Of deliciousness. Skip just bought himself a blizzard too, without being frustrated.
And it was a delish salted caramel. Yum.
So, it's definitely valid to feel frustrated in the midst of change, but that doesn't mean that we're giving up. Like I think that is the bottom line, is that in the midst of change, not only to be brave enough to make changes that you didn't know that you were brave enough to make, but also to be strong enough to go, I know that this is a good change for me and I'm not backing down from it. Yeah. And so to not, wishy-wash and constantly be getting off the wall. If you know that something is good, then I really encourage you to go whole hog. Just go after it.
Oh, good lordy. Go back.
Go full bore. So, yeah, that's where we're at. We totally we're making changes in a lot of different areas, but that is the one for our home life.
And to give like a real quick example, to back up a little bit, when we're talking about coincidences and these changes happening and that kind of stuff, I really believe like if sometimes we have these things that happen inside of us, a dream or a vision or kind of an idea, of a business or something like that, and we kind of toy with the idea, but we never pull the trigger. And then I feel like that can come back around. And a perfect example of that is Beth has been nerding out and yard sailing and thrift storing,
cool
and
all the cool people nerd out
and getting classic books and stuff from the thrift stores and yard sales for homeschooling, right? So like she's wanting to get some of the unabridged classics for the kids' homeschooling curriculums and that kind of thing. And she's been coming home with 8 or 10, 20 books at a time, once a week or so. And, we've had to put more bookshelves up and stuff. No big deal. But I went yard selling with her this weekend, and we hit a couple pretty good yard sales, and one of them we got some decent books. And then the last one we stopped at was a lady that was just selling everything and moving, like an older woman. And she had just stacks of books, maybe 150 books, right? And she's like, they're free. And we're like, free? And she's like, yeah, free. I just need them out of here. And so, it was the end of the day. Nobody else was there. And Beth's like, are you serious? And she's like, yep. So she just sat down, crisscross applesauce, and started going through them. And she's like, take them all. Sort them at home. And so we'd connected with this couple that was there, and we were talking with them. and talking about their travels and some of that stuff. And they're like, yeah, please, it will help us. We don't have to load them up. And we're like, seriously, okay. So we boxed up all their books, 150 something books, and then, we'd have the earlier score, which was 20 books or something.
40, yeah.
40 books.
First guy was selling books for a quarter, so we were all
40 books. So we ended up coming home with like 200 books, right? And so, having said that, one of the things that we had talked about 2 years ago-ish was like starting like an online Amazon kind of store where we, buy books cheap and sell them online, right? Or look for good books, good deals, and sell them. We never did it. We toyed around with the idea, blah, blah, blah. Well, that was kind of that coincidence that came back around like, hey, like we have all these books. It's almost like we have a bookstore. Like now we're talking about it again. So we're like, let's scan a few of these books. We started scanning a few of the books, and we found one that was $100 or something. It was worth $100. We got it for a quarter. And we found a bunch of other books that were, $20, $30, those kind of things. All of those books, we spent $10 on books. We got the whole other lot for free. So it's just this kind of coincidental, thing that happened inside of connection with these people at this yard sale. Now, we're going to be shipping books off to people. And it's just kind of a neat process.
So that's the thing about change. Like we all want good things to happen in our life, but we have to realize that God partners with us. And so we are... there are seasons in life where everything's just brought to you, and there are definitely, crazy things that just happen that are complete miracles. And so not taking away from those. But as a process of maturity, there comes a point where God also says, hey, I want you to be bold and to go out and do stuff, and I'm going to be with you. So go ahead and do what's in your heart, and I've got your back. I'm going to back you up no matter what you do, but you have to be brave and you have to move forward with it. And so that's where we are with that. We are interested in arbitrage and all these different things. And so we had to take the first step. And so that's where we are with that. But whatever it is that's in your heart that God is, encouraging you to take your steps on, go for it. Realize that when you are partnering with God, that you've got an unstoppable team, and that the answers to your prayers lie on the other side of your courage to take these steps forward into the things
Just put one step in front of the other.
Here's your encouraging song for the week. That was beautiful.
That was terrible. Anyway, sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Nope, that was it.
That
We're
was
going to end on that high note.
So, just put one foot in front of the other. Start making decisions for your best life. I think that's what it boils down to. Be attached, or connected, I should say, to God. Be connected with His Spirit, and be able to go to God and say, look, this is what I desire. This is what I love. This is what I like. Beth loves classic books. She loves shopping, and she loved treasure hunting for these books. So it was something she was enjoying anyway, and now we can find these great deals, and we can make a little bit of money on it. Then it'll buy her, get that money in from Amazon, and it'll buy her the next week's books.
Keep my book habit
Keep
going.
her book habit going, right. So she's like a drug dealer for books.
Basically. I can hook you up in a dark alley with some good books. The dark alleys of Amazon.com. Awesome.
So that's kind of where we're at. I just feel like there's an overall feeling of change in our lives, in our country, and all kinds of stuff. And I'm not saying all of it's good and all of it's or all of it's bad by any means, but there's a lot of change happening right now. It is in the air, whether you're happy with some of the changes or not. The point is that you have the power to make the decisions to go in the direction you want. Yeah. God does say, I'll give you the desires of your hearts. Yeah. So what are the desires of your hearts? What is the things you've been dreaming of and wanting to do? You don't have to quit your job tomorrow and then start that thing. Do this thing here and have your job here to pay your bills. And if you can monetize this, great. And do this. If you can't monetize this, it's just a hobby, great. Do your hobby, but make the steps to do those things. If you just want to be, a spin class instructor because you love exercise and you love waking up early and you've got all this, then just go do it. If you're just volunteering, then great, volunteer at spin class. If you can, get people to pay a subscription to do your spin class, great, do it. but just move towards the things that make your heart jump and leap, and then let God work out the details as you go.
Yeah, so don't be scared. Just go ahead and realize that change is in the air, and that it's okay to move forward in some of these areas of change. Have peace as you go forward, and just feel free to go ahead and take the plunge. We really feel like that there's an opportunity, there's an added benefit, like a wind behind your sails to move you forward as you go.
Yeah.
So capitalize on this, feeling this is what God is doing on the earth. He's bringing change. So go ahead and realize that this means change for your personal life as well, and that things that you may have been putting on the back burner, or dreams that you've been holding out on, then go ahead and move forward with those. We're also, just so you know, we are also seeing it in our personal life, as far as our emotions or different things. Like, you might be feeling change in, like, okay, I need to stop this, like, I need to forgive this person.
Yeah.
I need to, whatever those kinds of things are, like, if you're seeing like a pocket of fear flare up or something like that, like, okay, well, I didn't used to get freaked out about doing my bills, but now I am. So now you're seeing a pocket of fear. If something gets highlighted like that, then that's an opportunity for you to take that as, okay, let's go ahead and change this now. So be looking for any kinds of things like that are cropping up. We're seeing things like that where we're going, oh, this is showing its head. Let's get rid of this. We don't want this in our home life anymore. So, for us, like we've already been talking about, we don't want a messy house. And so we're implementing changes for us to have a clean house, and for our days to run smoother by having more order. So whatever those changes are for you, do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Jump in. Get her done.
Don't wait any longer.
That's it. So that's the topic. Are we doing the marriage month?
I think that we're going to be talking relationships here coming up soon.
Yeah, so
perhaps starting next week, but maybe after.
Next week? I thought we were going to start next month.
Next month.
For marriage, no?
Marriage month.
Apparently I wasn't at the board meeting this morning.
Might just do it. So, yeah, we want to spend a couple weeks. If you want to send in some topics for, hey, my marriage could
April.
Really
We're going to do
this.
the marriage month in April. All 4 weeks of Wednesday nights here on Facebook Live will be on marriage. So if you have some ideas about marriage that you'd like, or some topics that you'd like to hear us talk about, questions, any of that thing, please message them to us. Put them on a private message, or you can just put them on the Family Faith page, fan page on Facebook, and we'll get those, and we'll hit some of those topics, and we're gonna have fun doing that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good things to be said about encouraging each other in our relationships, and so that's something we definitely care about. We've got a lot of practice.
So we're gonna
practice.
We're giving you the heads up a little earlier. It's kind of normal what we do here. But in April, for the 4 weeks in April, I think it's 4 Wednesdays, it might be 5, but anyway, whatever it is, we'll be doing marriage, and we're saying that because we like your guys' input. What would you like to hear us talk about? What are the topics you want us to touch on? And we'll definitely do that.
Yeah, sounds good. We'd love to have your participation.
Thanks for joining. We are Skip Swiger on all the social medias, even my email, skipswiger@gmail.com.
And his password is...
And my password is...
He has no idea.
I have no idea what my password is. So I am Skip Swiger on all the social medias. Beth is Beth Swiger on all the social medias. Thank you for joining. Thank you for some of you for sharing these videos. We've had several hundred views every week. It's been climbing, so it's been a lot of fun to see how many people are...
Yeah, we love your participation.
In.
Always feel free to comment. It's just fun. It makes it more fun when you guys are hanging out with us, and when I get your comments or your recipe ideas.
Recipe ideas.
Your favorite
Beth
books
does
in the
this on
comments.
Wednesdays every week,
It's
so
all
she can
about
get recipe
food
ideas.
and books for me. A little bit of marriage and family stuff. A little bit of God. No.
Good stuff.